Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Charles Ross. After 10 long years, because of popular demand, we finally have a great merch shop. We've got designs going up as we speak, beautiful shirts. Just use the link right in the description and go check that out. I've also got great upcoming guests, Masadi, Guy Anderson, Chance Garton, and the Deep Ponder podcast. Be sure and check out my films, Occult Louisiana's on Tubi, Doors of Perception is on Amazon Prime. I'm booking guests for August. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome back to the show Charles Ross. He is a teacher and researcher with a knack for uncovering false history, making connections between old world empires and ancient cultures. Charles, welcome back. How you doing?
Hello, yes, nice to see you again for some more forbidden news, forbidden knowledge.
I love it, man. It's great to have you back. Last time you were on, we got a great introduction to your research relating to what some might consider the old world or Tartaria. Today we're going to dive even deeper into the mystery that is our human history. I commend anyone that has the time, patience, and discernment to explore our ancient past. Our history seems to be repeatedly erased and rewritten by the ruling class of any given era. But the puzzle pieces are out there, and you've done a great job trying to put them all together. And you have some fascinating topics for us to get into today as it relates to the old world. Before we get to any of that, though, for the audience that may not be familiar, tell us a little bit about yourself and let them know how they can find all your content.
Yes, it's nice to have different audiences to speak to share research with. A good way to get more of my research and theories would be on YouTube, on Teacher Charles TV. I'm also on TikTok, Charles Ross on TikTok. Facebook, I also have Facebook, Charles Ross. Instagram, I use Charles Ross and also Charles Formosa, because I'm on an island that I found out had a Latin name, even though we were always told, that we are in the Republic of China. But the more I've looked into history, into the origin of like most people, most lineages, most countries, it almost always seems to be very surprising and usually hidden knowledge. So I call myself Charles Formosa because that was the original name of the island.
Today you've got a big topic that you'd like to start out with, the origins of mankind. And depending on what researcher you're talking to, it could relate to the biblical creation story, the Sumerian, Nordic, Vedic. We might have been created by Yahweh or God or a group of celestial beings or even advanced humans that were tinkering with genetics. The possibilities are endless depending on who you're talking with. But as far as your research goes, take us back to the creation story that you believe is most accurate.
Oh, great. I think that there is a lot that still that we need to learn or relearn that we've forgotten when it comes to the energy grid, this lattice grid that covers the entire Earth, that connects cities, this etheric energy grid, this life force that is invisible to the human eye, but is very important in understanding the origin of the human race, the origin of how this mammalian, reptilian brained creature can ascend to the level where it now understands that it is in itself a sentient being. And I think that's what differentiates us from like most of the animal kingdom, that we can look at ourselves as something different, something that is looking for a higher purpose. And I think the idea of God has to be woven into the fabric of at least recorded theories and stories, because even the Adam and Eve story is actually a spiritual one, but also esoteric. So we look at the Adam and Eve story as the beginning as Christians, but actually what we're looking at is a lot of metaphors,
Mm.
and a lot of other civilizations have the almost identical story too, of the idea of some existential threat, or a good and a bad, a yin and a yang, a darkness and a light, and the fact that the darkness and the light may not be happy in the same space, but they also need each other to exist, because without darkness there is no light. So you have that with this Adam and Eve story, which I think has also been inverted and messed around with a lot.
Mm.
But in Christianity, obviously, it's God creating a man from the ground, and then it's a rib being taken from the man to create a companion for him, a female energy. But the more that you study this, the more obvious it seems that there must have been a third party involved, a
Mm.
true female energy, a creator force, and that I think Christendom as a whole has removed the female deity, the female power. But then when you go into the buildings, the architecture, and you study the churches, you realize that everything is very womb-like. Even the doors are these high arches. They're almost like a woman's reproductive organ. Then you realize that you're dealing with sound and creation, and the logistics of life being created. Well, all life comes from the womb, and that's this sort of the water of the womb. I keep coming back to that in a lot of my research. So what is the snake? What is the tree? What is the apple? Well, the apple is the most simple kind of possible magnetic geometry. So the apple is electricity, it's life energy. And then the tree is your own ascension, your own sort of Jacob's ladder, or your backbone. It could also be your backbone. And then the snake is this reptilian. And the reptilian, we call it a serpent, right? But we are really simplifying it if we just call it a serpent. I think the importance of the dragon, the reptile, the lizard, the dinosaur, whatever you want to call it, the importance of that in connection with energy and life force is, we are wholly mistaken about this almost every time. And I would like to, I think today, because everything seems to be about the reptile, everything we're fascinated in, every great
Mm.
myth and legend, every great hero seems to have to slay this dragon, whether it's King George slays the dragon, or you have also like these Germanic tales of Brunhilde, which is again, a man has to go to a well where the water's gushing down, just to make it as obvious as possible that we're talking here about the man killing his own maybe energy, so
Mm.
that he can maybe control himself better, or start a family. Or I mean, there's a lot of metaphor, but there's also esoteric things that I'm going to show you when you're ready. That
Yeah.
that there is a reptilian involved in almost every story of origin of electricity.
The divine feminine energy you were referring to earlier, that seems to have been at the least suppressed, but very much removed from our modern culture and much of our history as well. Is that connected to this reptilian energy, dragon energy that you are talking about right now?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's incredibly closely connected.
Okay.
I mean, what I've kind of like seen in my own research is that uh, even when you go back to the earliest mention of electrical energy, or something that looks like some kind of electromagnetic device, even in like ancient Egypt,
Hmm.
um, uh, uh, I, I do have some images that I can share with you. And I mean, I have only just found this out recently, but There are large sort of incandescent bulbs that look like maybe radium amalgam devices, large cylinders
Mm.
that are shown in hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt. And that's like one of the earliest civilizations that you could probably discuss this this sort of reptilian concept of
Hmm.
electricity being a gift from another species. So these look a lot like very simple sort of Leyden jars or the Baghdad battery style devices where there's like a central cathode made out of copper, which
Yeah.
is surrounded by either radium, mercury, some kind of piezoelectric gem, and then that then it could create this feldspar effect that you get with like granite and basalt, where you have electricity coming out of the crystal pressure.
Yeah.
Now, okay, like if you run this through like AI, these theories, it's going to tell you, oh, that's fantastical and fictional, but that is how electricity was created very early on.
I just want
Uh,
to let the audience know that is listening on the audio side. We have some visuals here that Charles is presenting. They'll help you understand what's being presented right now.
yeah, yeah. So this is I guess you could call this an engraving. It is
Hmm.
on what looks like granite. It is filled with hieroglyphs, instructions to either duplicate the process or the idea of where life comes from. There is some symbolism here. There are these sort of transistors. Can you see those?
Yes.
This is a very important Egyptian device and symbol. We have people holding hands. The idea of the anode cathode. It's being held by possibly Ra, Amun Ra. But then we have this creature here,
Yes, the reptilian creature.
the reptilian. Now, why is the reptilian incorporated into this electric manual that is a very important
Mhm.
part of Egyptian culture within this dynasty? And and so this I think is a deity that is not mentioned very often, or if it was mentioned often, I think it was intentionally removed so that we wouldn't see it.
And where is this tablet, this stone carving located currently?
Okay, so uh, this is the relief of Thoth.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, so this is this kind of strange, but then again, he has a bird-like head, so I don't think it's Thoth.
Yeah,
But
it's very strange because Thoth, the one I'm familiar with, is always portrayed with a very large bird-like head, and this looks
yeah,
nothing like
yeah, this is
that.
definitely not him.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
there is another Egyptian goddess called Heket,
Mhm.
a goddess of fertility. She's a reptilian, so I think that's
Yeah,
who it is. But
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I don't think this is Thoth, but I think Thoth might be part of the larger relief. So
Mhm.
that's why it goes. So they're telling you it's Thoth, but if you look into it, it's actually not. Thoth is
Right.
on the other side of the wall. So
Wow.
this is Heket, spelled Heqet, and
Mhm.
she is a goddess. So she's a reptilian goddess. Yeah. So that's yeah. Uh, she's definitely a reptile because she has this tail and she lays eggs. So this is not a yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty obvious reptile. That's so
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. But there aren't many. I mean, there's not much known about Heket
Hmm.
apart from that she is um, uh, has a form of a frog on some reliefs.
Yeah.
She's associated with the symbol of fertility related to the flooding of the Nile, and she does have a Kenemu as her counterpart, and that might have been her husband, and then she became the mother of Heru. Heru-ur, and this is also written as frog, alternatively. So the frog is also a reptile. So that's
So let me ask you, these reptilian beings, do you think these were real physical entities that humans were interacting with, or more of an etheric intelligence?
yeah. So I mean, were all of did all of these creatures actually have these heads? And I really don't know if they were reptilians.
Mhm.
Um, a part of me thinks that they were that because they had that knowledge of reptilians, but then you could have the representation of their knowledge and expertise being the facial features.
Mhm.
But it's so strange because why would you give everyone else human faces if you're only going to represent the most important people as having animal heads? Wouldn't you want to represent the actual facial features of someone of that stature, like they did with the pharaohs in the sarcophagi? And so
Mm.
it's really, I mean, you could argue that the Egyptians would have got those facial features right and then given them symbols or hieroglyphs, or portrayed their expertise in maybe the tools they were holding or the hieroglyphs next to them. So there, I mean, we have a lot of records of obviously like people with strange faces, like
Mhm.
dog heads, reptilian heads, monkey heads. There's a lot of that throughout medieval history too. So I mean, potentially these were actually large reptiles that are maybe extinct or have been bred out of society. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is just the Egyptian part of the reptilian connection with electricity.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there are like a lot of other connections too. So I mean, religiously throughout Christendom, the reptile or the serpent has always been associated with like Lucifer or Satan.
Mhm.
But I think I think that is a big mistake to kind of look at all of these symbols as being the same entity or the same deity,
Mhm.
because I think that with specifically Hetheth, this reptilian giving people light or giving people the gift of electricity, it does go hand in hand with a lot of other religions and faiths and empires. So
Mhm.
so we see the reptile comes up a lot in the symbolism of the pineal gland, which is
Mm.
sort of like our human connection with electrical energy, because this can calcify, it can decalcify, it can give us a lot of intuition, a divine connection, and I think that looking at that as something connected with reptiles would be interesting if we can get that connection.
Mhm.
And there are a few connections to humans being gifted this higher level of consciousness
Mm.
by reptilian creatures.
There are
So
definitely some of these deities that are portrayed as more malevolent than others. The beings or deities that have been more popularized throughout history. It seems there's also been an inversion of the spiritual beings. The more negative beings are being deified and propped up, and the beneficial, positive, whether they're beings or archetypes, intelligences, whatever you want to call them, the beneficial parts of these entities are being suppressed, and we're only being pushed towards the ones that connect us more with the material realm and cause harm ultimately.
yes, yeah, I mean we are being given the negative, but I feel like we're given the negative about too many things. Like we're
Mhm.
being given the negative
There's an
about
imbalance.
666. Yeah. I mean, it's always a negative. Like 666 is supposed to be the mark of the beast, but it's not. It's just the recipe for carbon 12,
Yeah.
which is the human carbon. We are carbon, right? So we need protons, electrons, neurons, so neutrons. So so it's like we are constantly being given a negative about all of these, all of the most important things. So we're also being told that electricity is bad. It's like damaging to you, but actually we are electrical creatures. So it's not. I'm not just talking here about can we create a light bulb or can we create our own electrical weaponry or something. I'm talking about the very essence of the human body, the very kind of intrinsic energy. And I think reptiles teach us about that. The reptile teaches us everything that we need to know about creating fire, electricity, and I actually have this as my background today, but this is actually a royal insignia.
Oh, wow.
That Yeah, this is actually a royal insignia of very important. So this is really really fascinating because this is supposed to be a link to calcium, sulfur, hydrogen, and various chemicals. Which sounds almost like a dead end, right? I mean, I don't want it to be about these things. I want it to be about like reptiles were being ridden in ancient armies or something. But it tells us that oh, this is what's left behind after a chemical reaction. This is very early chemistry in medieval times, and it's just a homage to that knowledge, to
Is
acquiring
this
that
a
knowledge.
crest for some bloodline family, which you're
Yes,
showing us right now?
yeah, this is the 16th century King Francis the First of France.
Okay.
It's the salamander, which represents a calcium acidic hydrogen reaction that they discovered, the alchemists
Interesting.
of the time. Its crown surrounded by flames, representing the Renaissance belief that these creatures could survive or extinguish fire and survive using fire. Now, this is very important because later on I'm going to show you how they had these creatures and they dissected them and they worked out how they operate internally, biologically. So this is like this is embroidery of a dragon pattern that is found all over the world. I mean, you find this in France, Europe, Germany. You can find this in like Burma, Thailand. This anatomy, the anatomy of this particular creature. It's not a crocodile; it's a dinosaur. It also has a motto. The motto is I nourish the good and extinguish the bad. So
Do you think when we are looking at what's presented by our mainstream history, that we could easily replace dinosaurs with dragons when it's mentioned in our history books?
I think so. I think we have invented this dinosaur concept and
Mm.
put it millions of years before our own human reality, and I think that that's also a very negative thing because that's suggesting that humans couldn't have survived if these creatures existed. But that is very much a negative thing because I think I have a lot of proof that humans and these large reptiles, lizards that we call dinosaurs, did exist at the same time. And I think that there was a lot of fraud in the 1800s. So every time someone found any kind of bone, they would try to turn it into a dinosaur and then get royalties and money and financial reward to build something that looked like a dinosaur skeleton, put it into the museums. And
Mm.
some of them look ridiculous. Some of them had large tails that they wouldn't have been able to mate with each other. Some of them obviously had wings and were dragons, but then the wings were taken off. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. And no museum has an actual original skeleton. They're always casts of the original bone structures so that they can then be manipulated. So I don't think this concept of dinosaurs being found and living like 30 million years ago is accurate. I think it's just a way to stop us looking into it. Because
Mm.
at the end of this rabbit hole of understanding these large reptiles, understanding where dragons come from, why some countries still rely on dragons to symbolize their own empires, because the dragon had all of these great chemical, biological skills, these insane things that even if even if someone like me explains exactly biologically how it works, it's still going to be hard for people to accept. But these creatures were able to fly. They weren't really relying on wings to fly, but they did have wings. They are really the key to unlocking every sort of esoteric belief, every motivation to destroy the idea of the dragon existing. The motivation is not to keep dinosaurs making money in museums. The motivation is the biological ability for the dragon to create helium and fire and electricity. And I think without those dragons, you start to break down this energy grid throughout the whole realm, which we have done. We've destroyed it.
Mm.
That's why we have shortened our own lifespan. We have weakened the power of the great structures, the great architecture of the old world. And I think it also makes you feel negative. I think you feel negative. You start to commit crime. You start to like not feel well. You start
Mm.
to like not understand sunlight, even understanding that sunlight goes through your body like it does through the reptile, and the reason why they had scales to hold that sunlight in for longer, for example. So, I mean, it's good to maybe just show you some proof that dinosaurs and
Yeah.
large reptiles existed at the same time as humans did.
Well, speaking
Um,
of, roughly what time period would you say that these dragons existed and we may have had communication or relationships with them?
the earliest one that I found has to probably be, um, I would say maybe the fifth or sixth century BCE,
Mm.
when a Neo-Babylonian empire built this beautiful, using one of the important crystals that the dragons need, one of the greatest cities of all time, which I would call Ishtar, the Ishtar Gate.
Mm.
This is Nebuchadnezzar II. He was a Babylonian king, and he had dragons all over his kingdom. And he celebrated them as he did lions and many other creatures. I'd like to show you a picture. This is like a representation of what the gate looked like.
Oh, wow.
This is the entrance, and there is one of the important crystals here
Now,
that the
where is
dragons
this?
need. Oh, this is the Ishtar Gate, built during the Neo-Babylonian era,
Okay.
modern day Iran and Iraq. Yeah,
Wow, it's beautiful.
approximately 575 BCE. So it was commissioned by the Babylonian king
Okay.
Nebuchadnezzar II, who was such a powerful king. He's also mentioned in many biblical scriptures. And I mean, this gives you an idea of what it looked like, but it obviously was much bigger than this.
Mm.
And you'll see one of these reliefs. This is like a tiled
Oh, wow.
sort of external facade,
Mm.
and they loved this blue crystal. Now the crystal is really important. This crystal was also represented on Aaron's breastplate, and many like Pharisees, Sadducees
Mm.
used this crystal. Um, Now, now diamonds are not that valuable compared to these kind of crystals, because they used to create their cities from this. The name of the crystal is a type of sapphire tile. So they used sapphire, amethyst. You can topaz, emeralds, ligure, beryl, onyx stones, sardius. I don't even know what half of these look like, but I know jasper is sort of dark red, amethyst is purple, and these crystals all separate light. So this is what the dragon needs to swallow. Now there's a part of the dragon near his throat that is called a crawl.
Mm.
This part of the dragon will catch those stones, and that's important to generate electricity. which then also helps the dragon create fire because it has like a thimble type device at the top of its mouth. It's represented here with a Fibonacci sequence, like a curl. This stuff is very it gets very complicated, the theories,
Mm.
but basically, this is, I mean, I don't know what other creature this could be. It looks very similar to the one from France.
And primarily, what literature are you pulling the information about these dragons from?
So some of it is like biblical allegory, the Apocrypta. I have there's some mention of it in sort of Dante mentions it. A lot of this I'm just putting together from things I've read.
Mhm.
Some of this is also from like old Germanic texts
Mhm.
that I don't think have been translated into English because I do read
Interesting.
German, and the full history of the Roman Empire. They came across dragons. Some of it is from the theories on on Saul, the suicide of Saul, which is
Hmm.
theories on a painting that has an army of dragons in it, and I'll show you that
Wow.
next. I mean, that's just it's yeah, there's
This is fascinating.
it is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, there aren't many topics I don't think that are as kind of undiscovered by modern man. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the references to I don't know if the Babylonians used this as a military machine,
Hmm.
but they absolutely love this thing. Yeah, uh, but they're all over the world. I mean, you just have to sort of like
Well,
deep
it would
dive
make
all over the
sense. You
world.
look at Game of Thrones, the
Yeah.
new version House of Dragon, it's primarily about how they were using dragons for battle.
Yes, I mean, dragons were obviously in Game of Thrones. I think there's a lot of truth hidden in some of these things. You
Mhm.
have dragons in The Hobbit too, J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
Dragons are such a crucial part of Western civilization. And if you look at any Taoist temple, you'll have dragons on each
Mhm.
side. Each pillar will have a dragon. One's going down, one's going up, one's sending energy away. It's just it's a never-ending thing. I
Yeah.
found them in Cambodia. This is a looks like a Stegosaurus or a Spinosaurus.
Yeah.
This is 900 years old. So this is you could call this
Wow.
ancient world. Yeah. I mean, obviously, 900 years ago, people wouldn't have known that at some time in the future, people would massacre and hunt these things to become famous
Mm.
or to call themselves heroes because they were large and they were dangerous and people didn't understand the importance of these creatures within our reality. And I think now I'm starting to realize that the electricity that they harnessed was important. It was an energy force, and
Hmm.
it was very much connected to larger trees, longer life, larger creatures, larger humans. Even I think they were connected to giants. Without the lizard creating electricity or this large dragon,
So the dragons
without
were essentially massive generators for us as well.
yes, I think they were generators, and I think it's just like insects are generators. Like even the pollination of a bee, if you do away with all bees because you think they're pests,
Mm.
suddenly fruit, there's no more fertilization, there's no more pollen being delivered, so there's no more fruit and vegetables,
Hmm.
and then that can connect then to what animals are eating. Then we don't have that in our diet anymore. And it's the same in China. They culled like thousands of birds that were eating from the fields, eating the crops. And a few months later, they had a locust swarm, a biblical level locust infestation that destroyed an entire town. Cities were just like covered in locusts because the birds were no longer hunting and eating the locusts. So they destroyed that equilibrium, that kind of animal kingdom balance, you know. And I think that's what we did with the lizard, with these large reptiles. I mean, in Cambodia 900 years ago, you would not have known that one day in the future, all of mankind would be lied to and told that dinosaurs never existed. So, of course, you're going to
Yeah.
put them into your temples and cathedrals.
Traditionally, the dinosaurs are never really considered intelligent by modern science. if we're going off of the literature from our past and some of the things that you were discussing, it seems that these beings were highly intelligent. That was just another way to cover up the reality of the situation by making them seem more like our modern reptiles, alligators, lizards, things of that nature that don't display that level of intelligence, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, y- understanding, I guess, what the importance of a piece of our natural world is, is usually something that happens long after we make the mistake of, uh, extinction level sort of events, like poisoning water supply, or building a dam and flooding an entire city because we don't want that to be part of the history of the country anymore,
Mm-hmm.
or targeting a specific type of person. Like, I mean, we have this with the Rockefellers changing the frequency in music. We have it with medicine, getting rid of all homeopaths, kind of villainizing them, telling everyone that they are evil, and then replacing homeopathic medicine with your kind of medicine that you want, which doesn't treat the cause but just treats the pain or the effect of the illness and the disease, because you want to create this kind of never-ending kind of customer retail, financial operation. And I think that's also the same with people who are kind of taking insulin when there's actually fruit that can deal with these issues, or herbs. Chinese medicine, is very hard to get hold of outside of China, even though it's thousands of years old. So, so I mean, even like cancer treatment. So everyone's going for a specific type of treatment, and I think that sometimes there's people who do stand up, like with ivermectin. There was a big movement during COVID, right? Spearheaded by people like Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. They were trying to say, oh, go for this. And now we're finding out that actually that is the best treatment, and
Mm.
and people are kind of like backtracking. And I think this is what mankind does quite often. I mean, especially in the modern world, we seem to have like put our foot in it quite often.
Yeah.
And when you think of like global warming, like people now are realizing that actually maybe that isn't that much of a problem, because everyone's now building data centers and they don't really care about water that much
Exactly.
anymore. So maybe Al Gore's, the inconvenient truth was actually a convenient lie. So
100%. So, how can we connect dragons with the suppression and removal of the divine feminine within the collective consciousness?
right. I mean, I think it's all feminine. I think the queens of our pasts were kings in sort of drag. So I think the royal families, the royal noble families know. I don't think
So,
really
you
there's
think the
much.
ancient royals were drag queens?
Absolutely all of them. Yes, it was a
Really?
safety. It was a safety precaution. Yeah, yeah. I
Interesting.
think that Eve came before Adam. I think that those demonic entities that got thrown down to earth were feminine too. I think that the statues of what they looked like, all over the world, you have these statues of like these almost like Greco-Roman women that have masculine features, these crazy jawbones and stuff, and they have like multiple mammary glands. Those are the fallen angels. They're all female. And it's very logical for them to be female, because a human, Homo sapien woman, does not have a womb large enough to, give birth to a giant. Those Nephilim giants, right? Like David and Goliath, those stories, Gilgamesh, those. So, I mean, you need a giant to give birth to a giant. You
Hmm.
can't have a normal, you know, woman washing her hair by the river, and this demon comes down and says, "Oh, we're now going to have a child." I mean, they made themselves look very beautiful. There's lots of fables and myths and stories, especially in Greece, that they made themselves look like swans. They gave themselves wings, all of this stuff. But I think those were women making themselves beautiful so that the men's seed could be taken, and they could then create these abominations like the Minotaur, all of these kind of like
So
crazy
you think all
beasts.
the fallen angels, which can also be considered old gods or the Olympians, they were all female?
I think that the ones who gave birth to the Nephilim were female. I
Interesting.
I I'm not saying there weren't like masculine versions, but you're
Mm,
looking here. I mean, we're talking about angels. We're talking about very powerful entities that could probably that wouldn't be, I don't think, limited by gender, right? But
mm.
they definitely were wanted to create monsters. They definitely wanted to create, chimeras,
And you think they're
as it were.
responsible for the inversion of the divine feminine or the suppression?
Yeah, if you worship any of these gods, which
Mm.
the whole world was worshipping until
Wow.
Jesus came along, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the Roman Empire threw away all of those demonic entities like Mars, Zeus, all of them,
Yeah.
Saturn, Mercury, right? These were demons that were whispering into the ears of man, saying, "Look at the reptile. Look what we can do with it. We can create
Mm.
gunpowder. Woohoo! Yeah." Because it all comes from one thing. It all comes from nature. They had first of all they had to learn the limitations of this place. That is a
Mm.
three-dimensional place. It's not a five-dimensional place like in heaven where they were playing on their harpsichords praising God, because that's what they were created for. So I mean, you have stories of Lucifer being geometrically designed to be a musical instrument. He
Hmm.
was made of musical instruments. That's the biblical scripture. He was actually made out of musical instruments, and then
Mm.
he's falling down to earth. Like we can't really imagine this stuff, but we do know that there's a divine connection between a harpsichord and the Bible, because a harpsichord has 88 strings, and the original Bible before Pope Gregory and obviously King James removed 22 books. So that gives us what we have today, which is 66 books. So
Mm.
you could almost have each book of the Bible linked to a frequency. And if you know Hebrew, like the first letter of all of the prophets, too, gives you this message that he is coming, my son, and all of these crazy things that you couldn't have, and no human being could have thought that up over
Mm.
many centuries, and then have it interlinked with with itself, so so there is this great knowledge and power, but now it's within something evil. So you have this story in the Bible that Lucifer becomes Satan, and Satan can't go back to heaven, but the angels still can. And it doesn't say that fallen angels can't ascend and go back up there with
Mm.
go back and pick up their harp and carry on praising God. So I think we have angels down here that are good. Then you have obviously stories like Michael the archangel, who comes down and like kills like 300,000 men in one night, and so they obviously have great power, and they can manipulate this reality. And it's probably like us playing with like a computer game. That's what
Mm.
I sometimes compare it to. It's kind of like they have a little model, and they're going to try to see if there's anything in there that isn't an NPC, and then it's like, oh, that's interesting. Let's give this person or this soul more power, and you can ascend, maybe get more power, more privilege.
Mm.
But you can also lose that privilege, because many of those angels fell, and there's a lot of reference to that. There's a fallen angel boardroom where each seat has is waiting for the fallen angel, to come and take up his place. So I think that this was somewhere in Europe as well. I think they do say Lucifer fell down in America. There's a location, and the date was 1914. Someone said that there was a date in 1914. So up until
Mm.
1914, which is the beginning of the First World War, you have Lucifer, you know, in the sky, or in in the heavenly realm, and then he falls down.
So
And
these dragons are essentially like any other large animal we have on the planet. They can be very beneficial and useful, or they can be extremely destructive depending on how we're treating them. But because of these fallen angel beings, they were pushed to be used for the dark side of things, and essentially the dragon archetype became malevolent in our perspective because of it.
Yes, I mean even Lucifer, the morning star, the idea of a star falling, even that's you got the star sign as well of the snake,
Hmm.
Ophiuchus, and then you have Lucifer as the devil is always looked upon as a reptile, as the snake.
Hmm.
So yes, I mean why do we keep doing that? And I think that the reason we do that is because we don't want people we want people to stay away from that knowledge, because once you know that, then you're on the same level as the elites and you can't really be ruled.
Mm.
And I think that's where we need to be. That's where every human being needs to be, because
Right.
it's only really God that should be above us. But uh, one of my favorite references to the reptilian being very much part of human society is this painting, which is a not a famous painting, even though it is an incredible painting. This is the here you can see King Saul. He's committing self
Yeah.
termination. Yeah,
Hmm.
so he's falling upon his sword.
Hmm.
Now, when you look at this painting, you see obviously like an almost Where's Waldo, Where's Wally kind of concept
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
endless armies, and you're trying to work out, okay, so they're coming up here, they're going to take him out, and he doesn't have much time left. That guy literally is almost at the top of that peak, so they're both obviously falling upon their sword. So it's kind of over, and it's a beautiful, large, priceless, obviously image. But then you look right at the back here and you start to realize that we're talking here about this Eurasian
Oh,
empire. Can you see that?
wow. I see it. They're riding dinosaurs.
They are
Well,
they are
look like
riding these.
dinosaurs.
Well, they do look like dinosaurs, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they're giant cats walking backwards, I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
But yeah. So I tried to because getting a decent resolution of that was not easy.
Mm.
So
Wow.
I tried to find more images, and then somebody's already kind of looked into it. And
Yeah.
they are indeed large
Whoa.
Bronchiosaurus, Argentinosauruses. Yeah,
So, do you think that means that there were many different types of these massive reptilian beings, including the classic winged dragon, fire breathing dragons that we see from medieval folklore, that they were all a part of our reality?
absolutely. I mean, if there's anything that we have that you see every civilization being attached to for whatever reason, that means it was seen by someone and it had such an impact on them and their lives and their reality that it was never going to be deleted by anyone,
Yeah.
no matter how uncomfortable it is. But again, that doesn't really help me understand why. Why is this not a famous painting when it is obviously a very important piece of history?
Yeah.
Why would someone put all of these resources? I mean, every century you go back, oil painting and any of this stuff becomes more and more expensive. And I think if you're doing this in the 16th century, and you're painting a dinosaur, which is not a name that we've been using before, like the 1800s. So yeah, why are you drawing these dragon serpents or behemoth
Hmm.
as they were referenced? So then you can actually go for the next stage. You can use your intuition. People have then said, okay, let's not just search for dragons. Let's look for serpents. What is a serpent? Is it really a snake? And you find out that it's not. It could be winged, right?
Mm.
And then you look at the behemoth. What does that mean? Does that just mean big? No, it actually is also another reference throughout antiquity that could help us find more proof of dinosaurs. So that's the Suicide of Saul. That's the name of the painting. If anyone wants to look into that, it's a really good like
Yeah.
starting point. These are all like starting points for people who want to look into it.
Well, I know you wanted to get into the America ancient Egypt connection. We've got a little time left. Before we do, is there
Mm.
anything else relating to dragons that we didn't cover that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, yes. I think that it's important to actually read people's like fa important and famous people's diaries and records,
Mm.
things that they wouldn't have falsified, because a lot of things can be falsified. But for me, I think this is the connection with the Tartarian Empire, the Chinese Empire, and I think it also is important to look at America. What records are there in America of any kind of large reptilian creatures, and how important were they to people? To like, were there any records of dragons? Because there should be, if they're if it is in fact that crucial part of our history.
Mm.
And I have found obviously the Tartarian flag, which is important because it shows us
Yeah.
that they were relying on this animal for some esoteric secret. And then you have old encyclopedias. This is an old one. Uh, this one actually, I think, is this is, I think, from the 1800s, and it says that the dragon or huge serpent is now rare, but it's a fabulous animal, generally a monstrous winged scaly serpent, lizard, or saurian. So there's a new word we can use to search for them, saurian. A fierce or very strict person. So it's also associated with the woman, the
Huh.
female energy. It's interesting.
Interesting.
And almost like the dragon is the female, and then I realized the male must be the one that doesn't have wings.
Huh.
Sometimes the male doesn't is not as aesthetically pleasing. With birds, I think it's the other way around. But with the lizard or the dragon, you're basically just saying that the male is a dinosaur and is extinct, and the female dragon is a myth. But actually, they are both existing simultaneously at the same time. And the female has the wings because that's the king, and the male sometimes is used as the king, but it's actually just a the same exact species,
Yeah.
but it's
At
the
times, there
masculine version.
seems to be a fine line between bird-like features and reptilian when it comes
Yeah,
to the portrayals of dinosaurs. Do you think any of
very
these
similar.
beings had feathers?
Yes, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. There actually are many dragons that exist in China that people are somehow never talking about.
Wow.
There are dragon fossils, dragons literally still exist in certain places that are well guarded. This is a chicken-like dragon. Um, this one,
Huh.
this is like from Tartar City, in which is now called Beijing, was called Peking. So
Yeah.
the top of that, this is supposedly a real one, and this one does have those chicken features.
Wow.
But we're also told that chickens are a direct relative of the dinosaur. So yeah, but I
That's
mean,
so interesting.
nothing is ever 100% with this. But
Yeah.
they are worshipping these creatures because of their electromagnetic power.
Mm.
That's something that I am pretty convinced of now. But yeah, I mean, I can try to show you the whole thing. I'm looking for seams. I tried to see if this was a chicken head sewn onto a snake or something, but I can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the seams. I found a few of these images. This is the best one that I've found.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, there is definitely a connection there. That's a good connection to make. Yeah,
Go
there
ahead.
are a lot of um, like records in the Western world too of these creatures. So it's not just Asia. Like this is from a bestiary book, which is just describing unusual animals. And then you have Marco Polo discussed how there were dragons everywhere. People were using them as pets, and I mean, the most amazing kind of esoteric story would have to be this one. where in America a large dragon attacked a steam railway train. This is this. I mean, I have a lot of these stories, but this is the Southern Pacific Railroad train near Dos
Wow.
Palms, California. And this is somebody's drawing of what happened. So I think it attacked the steam locomotive.
Now, for those listening, it's a drawing of a train being attacked by a massive dragon. And you're saying
Yeah,
this is a drawing by a person that experienced this, right?
yeah. I mean, this is an entire train with like full of people that wrote to the newspaper.
Huh.
And I mean, I think at this point some dragons may have still existed in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing that they went all the way to the newspaper. That they even described how the rear of the train um, uh, somehow the tail of the dragon got caught on the one of the rear cabooses and then
Hmm.
got dissected. So
Wow.
the tail of the dragon was kind of still on the train as it kind of escaped this attack.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's weird. Why would you be that specific with a story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's so interesting.
that's one of the best ones in the United States because it's cataloged, yeah, within the newspaper, the California, yeah, Post.
Yeah.
So you have like a lot of these references to this kind of the
Yeah.
this species of creature, and I mean that still doesn't again explain why it's been removed, but but it's still, yeah, pretty kind of inspiring or
It
inspiring.
is. It's all fascinating. Now, we only have a few minutes left, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot of information as it relates to the America Ancient Egypt connection. So maybe today we can get an introduction into some of that research and we can schedule another discussion to go deeper into that.
Yes. Yeah, we should do an episode just on trying to kind of get all my kind of references and sources with that. But America is the true old world. America is the is really the Egypt of our realm.
Mm.
And there are so many ways to sort of tackle that topic. But for me, if I the more that I look into it, the more proof I've been getting. Just trying to understand the symbol of like the Corn Palace. Why does it have a crescent and star on it? Where did the World Fairs come from? Who built these gigantic cities? Why do they have Moorish architecture? Again, the crescent and the
Mm.
star.
So you think some of the World Fair architecture may have been connected to this Egyptian civilization that was here long before anyone else?
Yes, yeah, because the stars and the crescent moon align in such a way over the United States that you have Venus following the horns of the crescent. This is a symbol of Islam and the Muslim Caliphate. I think that you could argue that the Irish actually came from the United States, from America, and that they were Egyptians.
Huh.
And because they have the same god, they have Cthulhu, and that is a direct duplication of the Egyptian Kununos. So this is the one holding the snake. Again, holding a reptile. That's interesting. I didn't think that's another
Mm.
connection to the snake. And he has the crescent moon on top of his head. And they basically took their own gods from America at the at the invasion probably of the original Egypt. So the Egypt in Africa, in my humble opinion, based on my research, is actually not the original Egypt. That could be an Egyptian colony. It could have even been constructed around some pyramids and then labeled as the original Kemet. But I don't think that land is the original land. I think that the Nile in Egypt is the Mississippi, I
Mm.
think that the Dead Sea also, there's a connection with with um, the location of certain lakes, the size of certain lakes, and then just the sheer number of these mounds, like the Cahokia mounds, the Hebrew engravings that are being discovered all the time in the United States. Just references to Hebrew sayings. Then the Smithsonian expeditions into the Grand Canyon that I can maybe go into another time in more detail. But so many Egyptian wands were found there, golden wands that were then traded. There were more mummies, by the way, more Egyptian sarcophagi found in the United States than in Egypt, in Europe,
Wow.
or in Africa.
It seems the
But
Grand
they were
Canyon area
sold.
here is a
Yeah,
very important area for that.
they were sold. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were sold. Some of them were taken to Egypt from Colorado. Some of them were
Mm.
taken from the Grand Canyon. Some of them were
Wow.
taken. Yeah, yeah. Like even I was looking into another city that had this Egyptian bull with the sun disk on it. They found it there. I think Boston, and they did a whole TV show on it. And then suddenly the TV show was gone, and somebody bought it up. Also, some
Mm.
of the old movies that I've been researching, like Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, that actually they were shooting parts of that film in archaeological digs. That the director of the movie was friends with some archaeologists that said you should film your movie here,
Mm.
because we have a large Egyptian temple here already. And then of course the British got involved. They started paying Elizabeth Taylor this crazy amount of money. She was like the highest paid actress after they were involved, and they said, take everything to Pinewood Studios. We'll pay for everything, but we don't want you to carry on filming in these actual Egyptian temples that they discovered. Because I think once you do that, you're kind of lifting the veil on a very important thing, which is what is America? Is it the New World, or is it actually the
Mm.
Old World? And who
Yeah.
are the Native Americans now? If you're saying that there's Egypt there, but even the Garden of Eden, there was a book written by Kincaid, Callaway Kincaid was the guy's name, and he wrote an entire book just on the Garden of Eden. Must have been in America because it's the only place with a four-headed river system. So it's California that actually is the original America. And I've seen reference to
Mm.
this in The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy walks up to this tree and it's filled with apples, and she's obviously in California, and there's these like toucans that are like not letting her get near the tree. Like they start throwing apples at her to try to fend her her off, and she eats the apple, and the apple is this knowledge that she needs to
Mm.
find the Wizard of Oz. And then you realize the Wizard of Oz is actually floating around in this balloon from a World's Fair, and it's an Emerald City, and that's another one of those crystals from Aaron's breastplate that you need to create electrical energy. And yeah,
That's fascinating. Do you think this information will ever be widely accepted by academia? It seems that throughout human history, once we came to a certain level of knowledge and understanding, especially about our ruling class and their relationship to us, that civilization gets reset somehow and we have to start all over. It seems like humanity's starting to gain a lot of dangerous knowledge that may be a threat to the ruling class. Do you see another possible reset in our future?
yes, I think we will. So I think it's
Do not
responsible
confuse God's people. Do
to
not confuse the
presume that there
devil's
will be
future
some
with
kind
your
of
own.
reset.
There are many false prophets.
I
We are
mean,
in the age of
I think
awakening.
this is an awakening reset, and I think it's a direct ripple effect of the lockdowns of COVID. When I started looking into things because I had to, there's nothing else to do. Um, and I think that those lockdowns are the beginning of this. So you can't really, I mean, unless you literally give everybody a complete freedom, financial freedom, you're not really going to be able to. Um, there's no balance. You can't get balance from that. Once you've done that, you've sort of taken away this battle between good and evil. What you've basically done is you've taken away people's freedom.
Hmm.
Now, the idea is, or as far as like good and evil is concerned in the Bible, it's like Satan thinks that all of mankind will turn against God if they are given freedom. Now, someone went outside of that kind of balance of reality. In other words, um, if you're a good person, you're going to follow God even if there is no financial incentive or everlasting life incentive. And if you're bad, well, then you're going to turn to the devil and he's going to give you knowledge and all of these things.
Hmm.
However, what we had is we had these large sort of pharmaceutical companies lock everybody into their house, take away all of their freedom, and everyone went online. And then I guess we got a divine, some kind of divine ascension happening, where random people that have no business being historians and researchers start to wake up and get a like a higher level of consciousness. So
Hmm.
this has happened before throughout history, multiple times. I've counted at least 14 different times when everybody kind of destroys like the Messiah, and then the Messiah becomes the only God everyone wants to worship. So this is the entire pantheon of Greek and Roman gods, all of these fallen angels being kicked out of our consciousness, and they are now archaic, and we don't need to look at them anymore. And now Jesus is the only religion anybody wants. And then even the Holy Roman Empire, or before that, Constantine decided, okay, fine, let's just all follow Jesus. And even the Vatican then ends up following Jesus, even though they are the Roman Empire today, and
Hmm.
they don't really worship Jesus, and they don't really want to worship Jesus, but they have to pretend to. So they're still wearing the red shoes like Dorothy's slippers, right? Because they have killed
Yeah.
the wicked witch, right? They're still wearing the red shoes. They still have all of this pine cone pagan worship all over the place. The entire Vatican City has its own sort of military, its own policing. It's not really part of the country either. Just like the city of London isn't part of London and not part of the
Hmm.
UK.
Yeah.
Just like I think the same is the case with Washington, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and probably Jerusalem too in
Hmm.
in Israel. So what I'm thinking is, um, yes, there will be a reset, but this is not the same. This is not a man-made greedy bankers creating a war so that they can take everyone's resources. This is not like a World War II type thing. This is all about the mind.
Hmm.
And I think that this is why it is so important for us to communicate about this. We have to understand why when this happened before in the past, so that we understand the nature of the beast. The
Yes.
nature of this is literally a beast.
Yeah, 100%. Charles, this was amazing. Thank you so much. You've done some great work, and we're going to have to do another one of these, of course. Before I let you go, remind the audience how they can find all your content.
Yes, please follow me on Instagram. On Instagram, you can use the hashtag Charles Ross, and my account is called Charles Formosa, so you can use that, Charles Formosa. I post every day. That's what the algorithm wants, and I also have Facebook. I get to write a little bit more on Facebook. Again, Charles Ross. The Yeah, there's a it's like open account there, and I also have TikTok with Teacher Charles Taiwan, I think, because I live in Taiwan, and also YouTube, Teacher Charles TV. YouTube is something that I've started doing more kind of long form content on. I'm not as experienced as Forbidden Knowledge News, but I but yeah, there's a much more kind of in-depth thing. I did a video the other day trying to really understand the Wizard of Oz, the original book
Mm.
by L. Baum, and I did a little video on that. But as soon as you go into these things and you presume that they're stories for children, you suddenly realize that they're not for children, and
Right.
there's too much going on. So
Mm.
I'm almost like wary now of presuming anything. about anything. You know? So yeah.
Well, right on, Charles. I'll have your links easily accessible for everyone. We will do this again. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll
Freedom, financial freedom, you're not really going to be able to. Um, there's no balance. You can't get balance from that. Once you've done that, you've sort of taken away this battle between good and evil. What you've basically done is you've taken away people's freedom. Now, the idea is, or as far as like good and evil is concerned in the Bible, it's like Satan thinks that all of mankind will turn against God if they are given freedom. Now, someone went outside of that kind of balance of reality. In other words, if you're a good person, you're going to follow God even if there is no financial incentive or everlasting life incentive. And if you're bad, well, then you're going to turn to the devil and he's going to give you knowledge and all of these things. However, what we had is we had these large sort of pharmaceutical companies lock everybody into their house, take away all of their freedom, and everyone went online. And then I guess we got a divine, some kind of divine ascension happening, where random people that have no business being historians and researchers start to wake up and get a higher level of consciousness. So this has happened before throughout history, multiple times. I've counted at least 14 different times when everybody kind of destroys like the Messiah, and then the Messiah becomes the only God everyone wants to worship. So this is the entire pantheon of Greek and Roman gods, all of these fallen angels being kicked out of our consciousness, and they are now archaic, and we don't need to look at them anymore. And now Jesus is the only religion anybody wants. And then even the Holy Roman Empire, or before that, Constantine decided, okay, fine, let's just all follow Jesus. And even the Vatican then ends up following Jesus, even though they are the Roman Empire today, and they don't really worship Jesus, and they don't really want to worship Jesus, but they have to pretend to. So they're still wearing the red shoes like Dorothy's slippers, right? Because they have killed the wicked witch, right? They're still wearing the red shoes. They still have all of this pine cone pagan worship all over the place. The entire Vatican City has its own sort of military, its own policing. It's not really part of the country either. Just like the city of London isn't part of London and not part of the UK.
Yeah.
Just like I think the same is the case with Washington, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
and probably Jerusalem too in Israel. So what I'm thinking is, yes, there will be a reset, but this is not the same. This is not a man-made greedy bankers creating a war so that they can take everyone's resources. This is not like a World War II type thing. This is all about the mind. And I think that this is why it is so important for us to communicate about this. We have to understand when this happened before in the past, so that we understand the nature of the beast.
Yes.
The nature of it is literally a beast.
Yeah, 100%. Charles, this was amazing. Thank you so much. You've done some great work, and we're going to have to do another one of these.
More. Look at the native African. Look at the symbols of the electromagnetic water geometry. It's all waiting to be remembered. I see the stars, the young black lady said to the old teacher. The stars never waver, they reach us where we are going. They are the 4 seasons, they are the Big Dipper of the great Orion.